you seem to be suggesting that there is a built-in Islamophobia.
Well,
is that what you're going to call it, or are you saying that it's gone well beyond that as well? Is that what you're suggesting? And are you suggesting that this has only happened in the last 8 years after the BJP came to power? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, if you are in power, you can do a lot of things which you don't do when you are not in power. So, I'm not saying I know the term exists way back in the election manifesto of the BJP in 2009 and also in the election manifesto of 2014, civilizational consciousness. But the question is, what do you mean by civilizational consciousness? If you interpret it in a very narrow sort of way, then you end up with what is today being called Hindutva, which all learned people say it has nothing to do with Hinduism. It is a political ideology with a certain kind of orientation attached to it.
But I still come back to it, Hamid Ansari. There will be those who will say that in the name of Islamophobia, countries with deplorable human rights records are using this one instance to target an entire government. The Modi government says, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas.
Yes.
The Modi government says that when we give an Ujjwala gas cylinder, we don't discriminate between Hindus and Muslims. Our welfare schemes are targeted towards all.
Correct.
Our critics are determined to somehow suggest that we are demonizing Muslims. And then along comes an instance like this. And they say these are fringe elements. Why are you targeting an entire government or an entire country?
Two things. You would use the expression, or you quoted somebody's expression, fringe elements.
Yes, the government of India in fact suggested they were fringe elements.
They were not fringe elements. These are spokesmen of the ruling party, and not just any spokesman, an important spokesperson. She herself has said that she has been in it from the word go. If you were a Delhi man, you would know that she has a background at Delhi University, etc., etc., etc. But besides the point, this is not fringe. This is a hardcore reaction, except that in one case out of maybe 100, it provoked. The wrong word was used, the wrong expression was used. You see, the short answer would have been, our governments have this problem all the time with each other. This offends me, that offends me. You know, you talk it out. You mention it quietly. You call in the ambassador, you say, not good, etc., etc. Why is it that this has happened in the same week as the report to the Congress by the US Secretary of State? And the language that the report uses, a country of special concern.
You are suggesting, Mr. Ansari, that there is a link between the reaction that we are seeing from the Islamic world and what the US Secretary of State Blinken said in the context of concern over human rights violations in India. You're drawing a direct relation. You're suggesting that this is against the backdrop that we must see this as a growing concern globally, is it?
There is a growing concern globally. I'm not saying it is backdrop. But you know and I know that year by year, US embassies all over the world collect information of interest to them. So our friends on Shantipat or anywhere else in the country, they collect this information. But at what stage do they reach the conclusion that this is a matter of mention to the Congress? Particular concern, mark the words, English language.
So the government of India, as they have responded to the OIC very strongly, says that this is motivated, misleading and mischievous comments. In fact, they've called it unwarranted, narrow-minded and in a way communal. So there seems to be a belief in the Indian state that this is an attempt being made by the Islamic world to unfairly target India. This is a country where over the years Muslims have been treated with great respect. You became the Vice President of India. President Abdul Kalam, on whose road, the road on which we are sitting and chatting is named after him, became the President of India. We use the instance of a BJP spokesperson to suddenly suggest that Muslims are in danger in India, are being reduced to second-class citizens. Are we exaggerating, overreacting?
No, look, you mentioned OIC or Islamic organization.
Yes.
I have my own views on that, and those are not views of yesterday. I have had these views for a very long time.
What are they?
We were founder members, and we were thrown out thanks to our good neighbors. And we have or we should have maintained that position. But then, out of the blue, suddenly the foreign minister of India, the late Mrs. Swaraj,
Sushma Swaraj.
yeah, goes and attends an OIC meeting. I was aghast, personally.